On this installment of Stadiums, Ballparks, and Drives, I'm at a place you've never heard of, but it's very dear to my heart. I'm in Longview, Washington, my hometown, and this is my old Little League field, John Null Park. This is where my father coached, this is where my brother played, this is where my mother and my sisters worked in the concession stands, and this is where I had some of the best memories of my baseball career. Well, maybe not the first year. When I was 8 years old, I played for the worst team in T-ball history. We went 0-15, and we never came close to winning a game. On the other hand, I set some records that still stand for turning the most unassisted double and triple plays in a season. That's because, unlike everybody else, I understood the rule. When you catch a pop-up, the runner has to return to the base. And, unlike everybody else, I also was able to catch a pop-up. When I was 9 years old, I played for Reuben Larry's Tire Shop. One game stands out in particular. We were routing, absolutely routing the best team in the league. Unfortunately, our best pitcher had already reached his maximum number of innings for the week. No, Dusty Baker was not our manager. And so they sent me in to pitch the final inning with a 10-run lead. And I blew the save. In my defense, it isn't easy to pitch when you're crying your eyes out. When I was 10 years old, I moved up to major minor. I was a better pitcher then. In fact, I had a shutout going into the last inning one day. And then a pitch got back to the screen, a runner scored from third. The catcher came up to me and he said, "Sorry about that, you lost your shutout." And I said, "Well, that's okay, because that was a pass ball. That makes it an unearned run, and it doesn't count against my ERA." When I was 11 years old, I got called up to the majors. Best thing about that was I no longer had to play in a t-shirt and jeans. They gave us a real uniform, socks, pants, and a button-up jersey. It was like being called up to the real majors. And like the real major leagues, this was before free agency, so there was a reserve clause. So when I was 12 years old, I played for the same team, although our uniforms were pretty ugly that year. It was also the year I became a true professional baseball player. That's because our manager paid us. To give us some incentive to play a little better, he paid us 10 cents for a base hit. And if we got a base hit against a better pitcher, he gave us 20 cents. And if we got a base hit against the best pitcher in the league, who had a nasty curveball, we got 30 cents. Yeah, 10 cents to 30 cents for a base hit. It was like playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Except we won the championship that year. At the end of the season, they named the All-Star team, and I was standing right about here when they named the final player. And it wasn't me. That team went on to win the state championship. I went on to walk home crying the entire 2 miles to my house. And when I got home, I did the only thing a 12-year-old boy can do in that situation. I went into the backyard, climbed a tree, and cried some more. Eventually, my brother came out and said, "It's time for dinner. Get out of the tree." 5 years later, I came back here. I was in high school, and my friends Gwen and I decided it'd be a lot of fun to coach a Little League team. And for some reason, they let us. They must have really been desperate for coaches that year. Some of the things that stand out were having to explain to a 12-year-old girl why she had to wear a cup. I remember being very puzzled by the two brothers on our team who were somehow born 6 months apart. I remember the night that a concerned mother came up to me and said, "Could you talk to my son? Tell him that it's great that he's really excited about being a catcher, but that he doesn't have to wear his catcher's gear to bed." It wasn't the chest protector that bothered her so much. It was the shin guards. They kept tearing up the sheets. But the moment I'll remember most vividly was the day that we were having batting practice, and one of the 12-year-old boys came back to the backstop, came up to me and said, "Mr. Caple, what is sex like?" Bear in mind, I was 17 years old at the time. This was a question that I was contemplating a lot myself that time. I didn't have an answer for him, so I stammered and I hemmed and I hawed, and finally I said the only thing I could: "Go out and take some more grounders." Now, if he had asked me that question a year or so later, I might have been able to help him out with a little better answer. I won't go into the details, but I will say that the first time I kissed that girl, fittingly, it was late at night in the parking lot here at John Null Park.